wet morning. Not very conducive to my motorcycle ride. It's been raining. I think it's kind of a misty rain coming down right now. Everything's pretty wet. Yeah, it's like a misty rain coming down. You know, I need to go over this lawn again and get some of these leaves ground up, but as wet as it's been raining for the last couple days here. So it's gonna have to dry out before I can grind up leaves with the little tractor. One thing I can do today though is I'm gonna take the truck and go get some apples. I'm gonna head over to the apple orchard and pick up some apples. Believe it or not, it's the end of October already. We're moving into November. I grow another year older this coming month, November. And not looking at birthdays anymore, man. The time just seems to fly by. Where did the summer go? You know, as I age, I often think back of my past, you know, when I was younger and had a lot more energy, a lot more spunk. Things were a little different back then. You know, I was talking about mowing the lawn, grinding up leaves with the tractor. I spent a lot of my younger years on a tractor. When I first started my employment with the park system, you know, I was what they call a grunt. Just a plain old laborer. And one of the jobs I was assigned to every day was mowing with the tractor. Now, I worked at a park, it's called Virginia Kendall Park. Back then, this was in the early 70s, which is now known as a part of Cuyahoga Valley National Park. This before it was a national park, though. It was just a metro park. And I was assigned to go out and mow every day. Well, there was a lot of big fields that I mowed. Some of them were play fields, you know, that were nice manicured lawns, like some of these lawns. But some of them were just fields that were progressionally cut, you know. You only mowed them maybe once or twice a year, so it was just to keep the brush from growing up. So you'd let the wildflowers and the weeds grow up, and then I'd go in there and kind of brush hog everything down and then move on to the next field. There was enough mowing there that I mowed every day, 8 hours a day. Now, when you're on a tractor for 8 hours a day, it can be kind of fatiguing. Had these old Ford Workmaster tractors with the tin or steel seat, you know. And I had a foam pad that I'd throw on the seat to sit on, because you're going to sit there for 8 hours on that thing. You want some comfort on the rear end. You don't want to be sitting on a steel seat. They didn't have any of the modern conveniences that the tractors of today have. These old tractors had no safety features, you know, no roll bar on them, no seat belt, nothing of that sort. You had like one little flasher light on the fender if you had to run on the road. And I had to run on the road because I had to go miles to get to some of these fields. So I was mowing one of these fields one day, and it was near a parking area. And there was this old man that would always get out, and after I mowed up by the parking lot area, he would put a blanket down. He would sit on his blanket, and he'd have a little cooler he would sit down there and he would spend the afternoon there. And one day he flagged me down that he wanted to talk to me, so I stopped the tractor and I walked over there, and he said, you know, I see you out here mowing every day. And he said, it's hot. It was like 85 degrees that day. He said, go park that tractor in the woods, come on over here and sit down and have a nice cold beer with me and chat for a while. And so I did that. You know, I was a young man at that point, and I took tractor, pulled it over into the woods where it was out of sight, and then I crept back over there and sat on the edge of his blanket, and he handed me an ice cold beer out of his cooler, and we sat there and had a nice conversation. When my beer was done, I went back to mowing and finished up my day. I had another incident where I was in one of these remote fields, you know. It was way out in the middle of nowhere, and the weeds had grown up almost waist high, and there was a lot of wildflowers, daisies and pretty asters, and just some really nice pretty flowers. And I was to brush hog mow all this field down, cut it down for the winter. So I went over there and I was mowing. It would take me hours to mow these fields with that tractor that I had. And this group of about 6 people walked into the field, and they stopped me right away and said, what are you doing, man? They were like a bunch of hippies. What are you doing, man? Well, this is my job. I mean, that's what I'm assigned to do. I was told to cut this field down, to mow it down. And they said, oh man, you're cutting all the pretty flowers down and everything, man. They said, we're going to go sit up under this big tree for a little while. Would you mind stop mowing this field for a while? Come on over and sit with us. And we've got some drinks, some cool drinks and whatnot. So, okay, I guess. So there was an old fire road there. I pulled the tractor back into this old fire road and parked it. And then walked out and sat under the tree with these people. Now, they were from Hawaii. They were Hawaiians. And they were on vacation visiting somebody, and they just happened to stop there at the park and take a stroll, and they found this meadow with all these wildflowers, quite mesmerizing. And I felt bad about, cutting them all down and taking away some of their pleasure, so I thought I'd just sit and chat with them for a while. They shared some wine coolers or something they had in a cooler pack. So I sipped on a wine cooler with them and had just about a 40-minute break there until they were ready to pick up and head out of there. And then I had to finish cutting down all the pretty flowers. Now, the big story was one day, I mean, when you're mowing 8 hours a day on the tractor, you carry your lunch with you. When it's lunchtime, you park somewhere, you sit down at a picnic table, or you just sit down by the tractor tire and you eat your lunch, and then you get back on the tractor and you go and you mow and you mow and you mow, because you got a lot of mowing to do. And by the time you're done mowing the last field, you got to start over again on the first field. Well, fatigue takes over after all day, especially in that hot weather. And I was on my way returning back to the field office, and I had a few miles to go on the tractor. So I put it in high gear and was just honking down the road, and I got within maybe a quarter mile of the field office. I was kind of going up this grade, this hill, and it was a wooded area. There was woods, and on the right-hand side of the road, it kind of dropped off down into a ravine. Well, I was fighting the fatigue really bad that day. I mean, I was nodding off, and I was trying to stay awake, slapping myself, and whatever I could do to stay awake. And regardless of that fact, I nodded off behind the wheel, and of course I was jolted awake when the tractor started going off on the side of the road, off on the berm. Before I could stop or get it under control, I actually slid off the road and over the embankment. It was an area where there wasn't there was like an opening where there wasn't any trees there, and I was probably about 15 feet over the embankment at that time, and it was on quite a slope, but I was able to stay on the tractor, and I had my feet on the brake pedals and holding it down, and it came to a rest there. And I thought, okay, well, I gotta go up to the road and hope I can flag somebody down to give me a hand here, because I can't drive this tractor up out of here. Well, every time I tried to step off the tractor, I'd let my foot off the brake pedal and the tractor would start sliding down the hill some more. And I said, oh man, I can't, I don't know what to do. It was an old tractor, so it didn't have like an emergency brake lock. You just had to stand on the brake pedals, and that was all you could do. Well, eventually I saw a park truck coming up the road from where I was, and I yelled at the top of my lungs, and they slowed down, stopped, backed up, and they looked over the edge, and they saw me sitting there, and I said, I need a tow. Somebody needs to pull me out of here. Well, they went back to the field office, got one of the big dump trucks, came back with a long piece of cable, and we cabled the back of the dump truck to the tractor, and they were able to yank me up out of that ravine, and I got back to the field office without incident. And the boss never really knew either, so it worked out well for me. That was my younger years, yeah. But I spent a lot of time driving tractors. You know, and I still don't mind mowing the lawn. It's almost kind of relaxing being on a tractor and just doing that mundane back and forth or around and around. I don't know. Something I always enjoyed. I've been coming here to Geigs Apple Orchard for many, many years. They always have quality apples here, and it's just a nice little family-owned business. Well, I gotta decide what I'm gonna pick out today. They got Granny Smiths, those are a little tart. Red Delicious, Brayburn, Ida Red, Mutsu, Stamen Wine Sap, Shizuka, Holidays. I'm getting a bag of these. These are good snacking apples. So yeah, I'm going to get a bag of those. And Gold Rush. Those are good for cooking. For eating, cooking, juicing. So we'll make our apple pies with these Gold Rush apples. Those look good. And I'll get these for snacking. I'll probably end up finding these apples all over the floor of the truck by the time I get home. But, yeah, I don't know. They should be okay as long as I don't drive like a hot rodder, huh? Look at how they load all the apples up in these bins. Another bin over here. Don't those look good? Oh my gosh. There's the orchards all back in there. And all over there. Well, now we can make some apple pies. Well, the key to going to the apple orchard is going on a weekday and going on a dreary, rainy day. Because if you go on a weekend when it's warm and sunny, it's practically standing room only. It's a very, very popular place. Anyways, Thanks to Geigs Apple Orchard. We've always appreciated their delicious apples, and look forward to making some Thanksgiving pies now. That's right, Thanksgiving right around the corner here. Rolling up quick. Soon it'll be winter again. Well, thanks for joining me. If you liked the video, hit the thumbs up button, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to our videos. We'd love to have you along for the ride. Until next time, cats, I'll catch you later.